The air was thick with the smell of smoke and the sharp, acrid tang of gunpowder as Sergeant David Hawthorne crouched behind a weathered stone wall. The chaos of battle surrounded him, a clamorous symphony of gunfire and shouting men that felt like it was reverberating in his bones. He could see the silhouettes of soldiers moving in and out of the haze, some sprinting for cover while others lay still, the somber reminder of war's cruel reality. It was early morning on June 6, 1944. D-Day had arrived, and the fate of the world hung in the balance. Hawthorne's heart raced as he peered over the wall, catching fleeting glimpses of the distant coastline. The sound of waves crashing against the beach seemed almost calm compared to the slaughter taking place just yards away on Omaha Beach. He remembered the words of his commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel George Taylor, echoing in his mind. There are two kinds of people, those who are dead and those who are about to die. The stark truth of that statement twisted like a knife in his gut. On the historic morning of June 6th, thousands of Allied forces launched an unprecedented assault on Nazi-occupied Europe, aiming to breach Hitler's formidable Atlantic Wall. Overhead, the skies teemed with Allied bombers, their engines roaring in a ghastly chorus, while paratroopers descended into the French countryside, their hearts pounding in sync with the cacophony of war. For men like Hawthorne, this was a moment they had trained for, yet nothing could prepare them for the brutal reality that awaited on the shores of Normandy. As he caught his breath, memories flitted through Hawthorne's mind like images on a reel. Back at home in Pennsylvania, he was just a farmer, idyllically tilling soil under the sun's warm embrace, surrounded by the laugh of children and the sweet smell of harvest. War had stolen that life and replaced it with grit, mud, and blood. Now he was a soldier, thrust into a relentless fight, channeling his fear into focus as he settled his rifle on the stone ledge and aimed for the enemy positions ahead. Sand whipped around his ankles, dirty and coarse, while bullets zipped overhead like angry hornets. He could see the German bunkers, fortified and formidable, spitting steel from their mouths. His heart sank as he heard the chorus of sharp screams. He looked to his left where Private James Jimmy Holloway was trying to regain his footing after being hit just moments before. Hawthorne pushed down the panic that threatened to rise. He couldn't let fear infiltrate his thoughts. Stay down, he shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. Keep moving. Taylor's command rang out again, demanding urgency. The lieutenant colonel was a fierce presence even in the grip of chaos, his eyes aflame with determination. The men respected him, and Hawthorne felt a flicker of hope knowing their leader was with them, guiding them through hell. Suddenly, an artillery round struck just yards away, the blast sending debris flying. Hawthorne felt the impact vibrate through the ground, and instinctively he ducked down further. Glancing sideways at Holloway, he saw the young soldier's face blanched with fear, his hands trembling as he pointed toward the beach. The sight sent chills racing down Hawthorne's spine. Men were falling all around them, and the beach, an endless stretch of golden sand, was rapidly morphing into a graveyard. "Get to those dunes," Taylor shouted. "That's our cover." With an iron grip, Hawthorne clutched his rifle, his instincts kicking in. He had to press forward, had to fight to survive. The men around him were counting on him just as much as they were on Taylor. With every ounce of courage, he uttered a silent prayer and ran. He plunged into the fray, the adrenaline surging through him as he navigated through the chaos. Each step felt monumental, the sand beneath his feet sticky with blood, the weight of his rifle increasingly heavy. He couldn't allow fear to paralyze him. There was no room for self-pity now. His heart thudded violently in his chest as the world around him blurred into a swirling mass of sound and movement. As he vaulted over a fallen comrade, the thud of his feet echoed in his ears. He sprinted toward the protected dune, his body seized by instinct more than thought. Bullets cracked through the air above him, and the cries of wounded men resonated like distant thunder. Time stretched and compressed, every second morphing into an eternity as he reached the anticipated cover. Collapsing on the sheltered side of the dune, he quickly turned back to look for his comrades. "We need to regroup. We need to push," Taylor called again. Hawthorne moved to reload his rifle, heart racing, hands clammy with sweat. Life had turned into a cacophony of noise, punctuated by the screams and fire of battle, the violent whine of incoming bullets, and the far-off booms of artillery. An eerie calmness washed over him as he peered through the scope, seeking out potential targets. The Germans stationed in their bunkers fired relentlessly, but there were gaps, vulnerable flanks Hawthorne could exploit. He could see one soldier struggling with a load of ammunition, the perfect target. With steely resolve, he steadied his aim, exhaled, and squeezed the trigger. The satisfying recoil sent a tremor of adrenaline through him as his bullet found its mark. For every enemy taken down, a wave of triumph surged through him, an overwhelming antidote to the horror unfurling on the beach. "Nice shot, Hawthorne," a voice shouted, pulling him back to reality. It was Corporal Smith, a wiry man with a fierce glint in his eye. "We need more of that. Covering fire now." The realization of their precarious position bore down on him. They needed to take out those German positions edging the road leading inland. Nothing would change unless they could break through and advance. Absence of reinforcements looming ominously behind them. He sidled closer to Taylor, relaying their immediate needs. "Taylor, we have to get those heavy guns silenced. We're not going to hold this beach forever," Hawthorne insisted, voice resolute but laced with urgency. He could see that resolution mirrored in Taylor's eyes. This was no simple mission. It was the fate of nations on the line, young men thrust into hell on earth, grappling with fear and responsibility. "All right, hear me out," Taylor said sharply, looking over the wave-lashed dune toward enemy positions. "We're going to create a diversion. Smith, gather a few men and create a blind spot from the left. Use smoke to try to mask the advance." "Copy that, Colonel," Smith replied, his voice a steady anchor amidst the storm swirling around them. "Everybody else, we're gonna push forward." Taylor turned to the rest of them. "We'll take it one gun at a time. Are we ready?" There was a chorus of determination, a unified grunt of resolve. "Yes, sir." Moving as one cohesive unit, they navigated the wet sand before it became a blood-soaked battleground. Each soldier shared the weight of dread and courage intermingling within them. They forged ahead, legs striding across the shifting terrain with newfound urgency as the horrors of D-Day unfolded before them. Hawthorne led the charge as they closed in on the first enemy bunker, adrenaline fueling every step. As they approached, the Germans caught on, tighter gunfire erupting from the fortified position. He ducked instinctively, jolting forward and shouting to his men to maintain their formation. Just beyond, the bunker loomed like a grotesque titan amidst the chaos, its jagged outlines silhouetted against the fiery backdrop. The sound of bullets whizzed past, a stark reminder of their grim reality. Blood surged in his ears as he steadied himself against the encroaching fear. He recalled the faces of those he had left behind, friends and family. He needed to survive for them. He could sense his fellow soldiers rallying beside him, mirroring his resolve. In a flurry of tactical movements, they flanked the bunker. As smoke filled the air, obscuring vision, they charged, catching the Germans unexpectedly off guard. The fierce exchange of gunfire lit the coastal dawn, sharp and bright. It took sheer determination and every ounce of teamwork to establish their bases within enemy territory. Hawthorne moved with fervor and panic rippling through him as the fight surged and ebbed like the ocean waves crashing beyond their position. A scream echoed through the chaos, and one of their own, little John, fell to the ground, clutching his arm in agony. "Keep moving forward. We can't stop," Hawthorne yelled, heartbreaking for his fallen comrade, but his voice firm. He could only hope that the medics trailing behind would get to him. Suddenly, the once stalwart bunker began to crumble, yet it came at a staggering cost. They pushed back the Germans inside, noise and dust enveloping them in an eerie veil, the smell of cordite stinging their nostrils. And then came the explosion, a blast so powerful that it knocked Hawthorne off his feet, the world spinning in a whirlpool of sound and fury. A shockwave rippled through the air, disorienting him as he hit the ground hard, the world fading momentarily into darkness. Pain lanced through his side as he gasped, heart pounding, trying to shake off the waves of confusion. This was not a time for weakness. He rolled over, trying to regain his footing just as the minutes felt like hours, frantically looking for his comrades in the haze. He could barely hear the distant sounds of the battle, muffled and strange under the ringing in his ears. Lurching to a sitting position, he scanned the chaos, dread slicing through him. Where were they? Where was Taylor, Smith, and the others? It was as if the sands of time shifted, men lost in the throes of war. Instead, he spotted one of the enemy fighters lingering on the periphery, urgently reloading his weapon. Sunlight caught the glint of metal as he aimed, and before he could register his next move, Hawthorne raised his rifle, gunfire erupting as he fired off 2 shots. The soldier dropped, and with that a strange sense of relief washed over him. Summoning his strength, he pushed himself up to standing, though his legs felt like lead. But he couldn't falter. Swiftly he darted through the shifting chaos, adrenaline roaring in his ears. "Sir," he finally found Taylor, directing men through the throng. "Sir,
We need to push now while we have them." The lieutenant colonel nodded decisively. "You heard him. Forward, men. We have a beach to take." It was a rallying cry, a clarion call amidst the storm, spurring the troops onwards. But the fateful momentum climbed to a cunning reversal. Out of nowhere, artillery fire erupted from behind. They were ambushed, shots raining down from what they thought had been a clear back flank. Shrapnel rattled around them like angry hornets, and the din of injuries echoed through the chaos, a cacophonic hymn of destruction. Men fell once again, the fog of war thickening like a suffocating haze. Hawthorne ducked, narrowly avoiding a ricochet. The horror of their situation spiraled into his gut, but he forced himself to breathe, driven by the need to secure their place in history. Adrenaline coursed through him, and he fixed his eyes on Taylor again. "Colonel, we have to flank left." With resolve, Taylor nodded. "Move out." The men pressed forward one last time. Energy surged like a wildfire within them, bolstered by the hope that this day could change their lives forever. As they maneuvered left, the surge of cannon fire exploded around them, and Hawthorne charged into the fog, the deafening booms ringing in his ears. Each moment felt electrified, a raw instinct guiding him forward. Every step was a choice, a refusal to let despair take hold. The image of little John flashed again in his mind, igniting a fire within him. He couldn't stop. There was too much at stake. They moved to take out the remaining German position with relentless fervor, men rallying around their sergeant as they recognized the final offensive unfolding. Amidst the deafening noise, a ground-shaking explosion rocked the beach from further down. The tide of battle shifted. They could see smoke curling upwards, a beacon that drew them on. Somewhere, against all odds, the Allies were gaining momentum, but desperation fueling them. Hawthorne rallied his men, their spirits bolstered with intensity as they charged forward relentlessly. "All together now," he cried, knowing they were on the edge of victory or catastrophic defeat. "For those we lost." With that battle cry echoing in their lungs, they surged as one, a unyielding tide, until they reached the remnants of the pillbox that had been giving them hell. The flat concrete surface had endured a severe beating, but they fought desperately to seize it. Finally, flanking the defenses, they breached the final positions and lit up the sights. It was a push worthy of legends, history itself clashing. The Luftwaffe finally yielded, their own losses too staggering to ignore. As the resolute sunlight broke through the clinging smoke, a sense of triumph rose within them, resilience carved from chaos, lives trapped within the bottleneck of history. One soldier squared off against another, and they fought as fierce as any battle Henry recalled. It became a struggle not just against enemies, but against despair and loss. As the sun dipped low over the horizon, the battlefield quieted to uneasy whispers, a dreadful silence blanketing the remnants of mayhem. They had prevailed, an event etched into memory, a victory sparking change across continents, yet it arrived at a cost that weighed heavily on their shoulders. Hawthorne found himself standing amidst the grizzled faces of survivors, trembling, the shock of surviving settling over him like a dark shroud. All around them lay a legacy, fallen heroes and shattered hopes. Hawthorne squeezed his rifle tighter, eyes brimming with unshed tears. They had attained victory on the beaches of Normandy, but history would forever bear the weight of those who never returned. Days turned into weeks in the madness of war, and in the aftermath of D-Day, Hawthorne often recalled the moment their sheltered dune had transformed into a battleground. The memories haunted yet strengthening. This was just a chapter in a larger war, but one that would become a pivotal cornerstone of hope, a testament to human endurance in the face of darkness. With hearts steeled by loss, they cradled the memories left behind, honoring them through actions and conviction, a gentle reminder that they could still bring light, even amidst a world engulfed in shadows. And as the whispers of their stories pulsed in the winds of history, the echoes would remind the living, at the depths of despair, courage can forge the very path to survival.